I think we're live. What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us today for episode number 47 of Tuesday Feels with Ricardo Sturdivant. If y'all are watching us on YouTube, Facebook, or the Reinventing website, just let us know that these streams are working in the chat, or tag a friend who loves tattoos and would like to join us today. You guys can check out some of the Reinventing weekly drawing groups and shows on our network too. Not only on our network can we be seen on YouTube, which is pretty cool, on our website, which is also cool, but even more cool is our Roku channel. So if you have a Roku device, search for Reinventing the Tattoo and you can constantly stream all of this stuff anytime. It's a free app too. We want to say thanks to our sponsors for helping us push all of this cool content out to you guys for free. We've got World Tattoo Events giving us the largest, most comprehensive resource for tattoo events in the world. We've got Raw Pigments with their acrylic-free tattoo inks, and DLize Pro helping artists and clients protect their art. We also want to say thank you to our affiliates, Fireside Tattoo, The Apprenticeship Diaries, and EcoFriendlyTattooSupplies.com. In addition to that, there's other weekly drawing groups or events that are happening all the time. On Mondays, we kick off the week at really early with James Wisdom for a Reinventing drawing group at 9 a.m. And a little bit later in the day at 11 a.m., we have the Tattoo Weekly, which is a weekly show where we talk about what's going on in the world of tattoos. It's hosted by myself, Gabe Ripley, and Jake Meeks of Fireside Tattoo. On Tuesdays, we have our Reinventing Tuesday Feels. Let's go ahead and welcome Josh in. We've got our Tuesday Feels right here every single Tuesday. On Wednesdays, it's a Tattoo Now show at noon, followed by our Reinventing Business meeting group that we do a little bit later at 1. Thursday evenings is our Tattoo Collecting 101, hosted by Fawn Baker, live from Red Tree Gallery in Columbus, Ohio. And then let's see, on Sundays with our favorite Jason Leeser, hosts Skill Building Sundays, which is a great place for you to bring something that you're working on or anything like that. And all of this kind of comes to a head for Guy Aitchison, who is the founder and creator and inspiration behind Reinventing the Tattoo. Our second trimester is just about underway in our Reinventing Evolution. So if you'd like more information about that, go to reinventingthetattoo.com/evolution. There's a lot of great learning material. We're kind of approaching this completely different than ever before. And it's super interactive. I know that a lot of us can attest to that. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring in Ricardo and our guest today to kick off Tuesday Feels. What's up, everybody? Hey. Good to see you here.
Hey, Lauren, what's up? Good to see you too. How are you?
Yeah, not too much. Doing pretty well. I know we were kind of chatting before the show started today about your tattoo experience. And speaking of, Guy, you just had another session on your arm, which I got to see, I think last August, I got to see in person. And right now it's looking really, really nice. It's interesting to see that style in black and gray.
Yeah, you know, it's one of the things that whenever we first got the chance to sit down with each other, I expressed interest in the black and gray stuff, and he seemed to be pretty excited about it. You know what I mean? We had talked before, and I remember being in his classes and him mentioning not being able to get the opportunity too often to do it. But I like black and gray tattoos on me personally. I have some color and stuff like that, quite a bit actually. But yeah, to be able to get a black and gray tattoo from him was awesome. What a cool experience for us to be able to like go through it together, talk about the design and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And just talk about all the art stuff, which was just, man, being tattooed by him, first of all, was awesome. Then get to hang out and talk art with him and stuff like that in person, really cool. So
that's rad. Before we do get started, we should go around the horn and do some introductions so everybody knows who we're talking to. Josh, what's up? Gonna tell everybody where you're beaming in from?
Hey everyone, what's up? I'm Josh. I am beaming in from my kitchen right now. Staying home with the boy child this morning and then taking him to the studio with me later today. We have a family-friendly shop here in Kentucky, Affinity Art Fair. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool to have you as always. And Ricardo, you know, you're the host, but let's go ahead with an intro as well.
Yeah, thank you. Josh, good to have you, man. Glad to see you here. It's awesome that you take the time out, regardless of what's going on with family life. I think a lot of us, after so many years of tattooing, that starts to catch up a little bit. Some of us jump right into it with it. So awesome for you for doing it, man. My name is Ricardo Sturdivant. I'm the host of Tuesday Feels, however you want to say it. Doesn't matter to me as long as we're here hanging out and talking about those exact things. You know what I mean? I like to introduce some of my personal life and experiences and stuff like that, and how I implement that into my art form. For me, they're kind of a hand-in-hand symbiotic kind of relationship. You know what I mean? I've come to understand quite a bit about myself and my art through through the recognition of those processes and stuff like that too, especially the past couple of years. So I'm super happy to have all of you guys here hanging out and watching and talking about all the good stuff. Thanks.
So you went down to hyperspace on Thursday. Do you want to show everybody your arm, or I don't know how well we'll be able to see it, but it's pretty rad.
Let's see what we can do here. Let's see, it's backwards right now, so all right. It's a little dry and flaky, so I apologize for that.
Well, it's just since last Thursday, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Other camera, can you turn to the other camera? Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, we did a take on this quote that I like by Marcus Aurelius. But I let him go run wild with it. We talked about it a little bit, some of the elements that we wanted it. The geodes and the eyes were like some of the more interesting parts that we discussed pretty thoroughly, and just nature. I love his texture work in the tree back here. We went through and added a bunch more contrast and like value as far as some of the medium tones and light tones in relationship to each other. It goes up pretty high and it's really hard to see, or else I'd show you the rest of it, but we'll keep it PG for now. Yeah. But, the first session I think was about 6 hours, a little over 6 hours or so, give or take, breaks and everything like that. And, first of all, you lose track of time there. The studio's out in the middle of nowhere and it's awesome. It's a very zen kind of place, you know what I mean? Most of the time it's just you and him. Every once in a while you might get some family that pops in or some other people that jump in every once in a while, just taking care of business throughout the day as usual. But it's super relaxing, so it's hard to keep track of time there. It's incredible. The first session was about 6 hours or so, not too bad. For some reason, the second session, I don't know if I was tired or something like that or what, but the second session from the very beginning of it was like, okay, we're definitely getting tattooed today. You know what I mean? Like it was really hard to find that that comfort zone where you just kind of slip in and let it happen. But we did it nonetheless. The white highlights, oof, man. You see all those things. James Wisdom in the chat just said, good morning, RIT. Good morning, Ricardo. James, how's it going? I have not had a chance to meet you yet, but I look forward to maybe jumping on one of your classes. I'm not sure if you have it open or how that works, but I have caught a couple of your episodes, man. They're great stuff, good stuff. Keep it coming. If you guys get a chance, check it out. But yeah, those white highlights, man, all those memes and gifs and stuff like that you see, absolutely true. No joke. Guy was very complimentary and super understanding of that situation. You know what I mean? It's so funny, dude. I heard we only got about 15 more minutes. So I knew exactly what that meant. You know what I mean? It's not 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Speaking of time and time travel and stuff like that, and losing track of it, we definitely lost track of 15 minutes. I'll tell you that for sure. But no, it was awesome. We got a chance to sit down and talk about a lot of things as per usual, life, tattoos, artwork, and stuff like that. We talked a lot about machines. We talked a lot about the raw pigments and stuff like that too. So that was awesome. I've gone through and switched over all my stuff to that ink in particular, and I love it. And he seems to be feeling the same way about it too. So that was exciting. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times people have their opinions and stuff like that, but he's pretty fluid when it comes to opinions and stuff anyway. So it was
cool
awesome.
that when we first spoke about that and where you kind of I think you got a set for him or something like that back in August or whatever. It was just, it's been a cool ride to see that come to fruition. Yeah,
it's been pretty awesome.
I was so excited when you told me that.
Yeah, dude, it was so radical. I was like, oh my God, he loves it. That's so rad. Yeah. He used the whole black and gray set on me. You know what I mean? The whites and the washes and everything. It was awesome. I have to say that this is, I think, one of the fastest healing tattoos I've had. You know what I mean? The guy's been tattooing for what, over 30 years or something like that too. But what an experience, man. What an experience. You know, I got to be honest with you guys. Like when I first started tattooing, I remember first getting interested in tattoos, and I worked at this this data entry place. You know what I mean? I literally was like putting fractions of a dollar back to people's bills, like 3 cents. Like they got overcharged 3 cents, or they overpaid like 3 or 5 cents. I think at the most one time it was like a quarter. You know what I mean? Like literally, they don't even have to stare at the screen. You just keep punching the same buttons minus the number. So 0.03, 0.25. You know what I mean? It sucks so bad. But I remember being able to have access to tattoos through the tattoo magazines at that time. And it was so crazy because of all the pictures I had cut out and taped up in my little cubicle area, the majority of them were his tattoos, you know what I mean? So to come from that and be dreaming of tattooing, be dreaming of what am I going to do with my life? Where am I going? And then to be able to sit there with him and talk about art and be getting tattooed by him and be joining in with his classes and stuff like that. Oof, just bucket list. You know what I mean? Bucket list. Yes. But if you guys get a chance, I'd highly recommend it.
I'm
Get some
going to be
tattoos.
tattooed by him August 9th to 11th.
Oh yeah.
Yep, he's going to do a collab with Fawn, which is she's pretty
Nice.
excited about. So we'll have to stay tuned on that.
Dude, are you going up to hyperspace?
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Nice. I might have to make a trip down there.
Absolutely.
Come and visit and videotape and try not to get too many of the ouch faces in there. Or how about the ouch faces that just be for the B-roll stuff?
I try to have I try to go there with no emotion at all, if possible, just to avoid that.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way that I try to approach it too. You know what I mean? Like I always try to go in being able to be adaptive and things like that. You know what I mean? I always make sure that I have some food and some water, plenty of water, protein bars and stuff like that. So stuff that you can just kind of snack on, you know, throughout the day. The cool part is he definitely takes a break for lunch and everything like that. So it gives us both a chance to kind of like re-energize and stuff like that, get some more energy going. But yeah, I definitely do the same thing. It helps whenever you try to be in that moment. Just like for me, I just try to breathe and meditate and just think about where I'm at that moment, you know? And like a lot of people say to avoid the pain and stuff like that, but I actually just try to focus on where it's at that moment and then not, you know, don't distract myself from it. How about you guys? How about you, Josh? How do you deal with getting tattooed?
I always say that I love having tattoos. I hate getting tattoos, and I especially hate healing tattoos. But yeah, I approach it pretty well the same way. Meditation, find that spot on the ceiling and study it very, very closely. See how many things you can turn the spots in the ceiling into, like connect the dots, constellation.
Yeah.
And then count the breathing. Don't hold your breath. Count the breathing. So it's, you know, in 2, 3, 4, 5, out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know.
Right. Exactly, man. That's exactly it. Diaphragm breathing for me is a big part of it too. Like breathing from this core area. You know what I mean? For me, whenever the pain starts to get a little too much, I definitely will just like kind of sit back and put my head back and close my eyes and just focus on that breathing, like bringing in the pain and then just letting it go out too. You know, like kind of being that conduit where it just kind of slips through you instead of it being so blocked in. Like, you know, man, when I tattoo my clients, especially, and I see their feet start to pull up or like their body gets real tense and stuff like that, I try to go through that with them. You know what I mean? So
I remember there was an episode on Tattoo Collecting 101 with this girl, Emily Paul, and she was talking about mental fortitude. And she's a runner. For example, she was based in Long Island at the time, and she ran like 101 miles in like a weekend straight. She just ran. It was unbelievable. But her perspective on mental fortitude, and that's, you can practice mental fortitude in other areas and kind of build up, just like you would practice empathy. You know, you practice that skill set. It's a mental skill set. So that's another thing, even with running or exercising or all of those different things. Like you can't expect to walk into a tattoo with this strong fortitude if you don't really practice that elsewhere. And pain management is pretty tough, especially when it's extreme pain.
Yeah, like physical pain, emotional pain, and things like that. I'm starting to kind of correlate them. For me, I'm starting to correlate them as something that comes in like a dual package kind of thing. You know what I mean? You can't really have one without the other, I think. And it is awesome to hear you say that. And I can't wait to check that video out that you're talking about. Because that's exactly it. You know what I mean? Like being adaptive and learning through other facets on how to handle certain scenarios that might not have anything really to do with it, but you can bring that over and transfer that into that moment. You know what I mean? So that's pretty
Yeah, or
radical.
build like a mental conglomerate of skill sets like patience or
Yes.
fortitude or pain tolerance or like stoicism or something or whatever it is, but build those things before the tattoo so you don't walk in feeling like overwhelmed, or like how I always do, like
Yeah.
ill prepared.
Right. Exactly. You know what I mean? And I think that's exactly it. Like get plenty of sleep. You know what I mean? Have like a checklist. Like, Lauren, whenever I first started doing a lot of this traveling and stuff, I remember you were kind enough to send me like a checklist that you have when you go down the list of things that I might forget. You know what I mean? As far as, and then some of the things that might slip your mind that you didn't even think about, like check out some of the local restaurants and stuff like that in the new area that you'll be at. Find out how late they're open, you know what I mean? Which is so crucial, especially when it comes to tattoo conventions, because sometimes, you're working until late at night and
It's
you're hungry.
pretty dangerous that way. Like
Yeah.
Gabe, Jake, and I, the other week at Hell City, walked around Columbus late at night for like an hour and a half looking for something and settled on street food. So,
Yep.
I mean, I had a backpack and I was actually kind of scared walking around like that.
Yeah. We had a similar kind of experience in Philly. This gentleman approached us in a pretty aggressive way, and it was pretty crazy. And it was one of those moments where it was like, well, we're looking for a restaurant that might be open. This one happens to be like, I think it was 3 or 4 blocks away, you know what I mean? Which is kind of unfortunate, but yeah, you're right. Let's see what's going on.
I know who that is. Just wait till
Okay.
you see his shining face. And we're going to have to keep it. Let's just make it PG-13, Jason.
Okay.
Hey, Jason, because if he wants to, show us.
Oh, I'll do a reveal. I don't mind.
Slowly. Nice. I have to get going, you guys. I do have a meeting with Jake Meeks and Faith, so I'm going to see this.
Let's check it out.
PG-13, totally.
I got to see this the other night. He sent me a picture of it through text message. Man, that thing looks amazing. Oh man, look at those blends and everything already.
Wow.
That line work is so dynamic.
This was not fun. The rest of it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, like the crease of the hip was pretty not fun.
Yeah, I bet. That like the folded area, right, where your leg lifts up.
Yeah. So like right here.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just the amount of work that was done in that one little spot was like no bueno.
Right. Hey,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just going to say real quick, James Wisdom for Monday morning said that everybody is welcome to Zoom in just for you guys watching. So that'll be fun next Monday. I think I'll probably pop in there and say what's up. And Nanya Business said, good morning, everyone. That's a good name, Nanya Business.
Good morning.
Yeah.
I do have to dip out, you guys. Maybe I'll pop back on later, but if you need anything, just send me a message. And Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lauren, as always. Take it easy.
So I've got a couple of fun new guests lined up to interview from this weekend.
Why don't we talk about that a little bit, man? Tell us about your travel endeavors, dude. Let's hear it.
Well, it involved a couple of very, very, very early mornings, a couple of not so late nights, but still kind of late for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a good time, man. It was an all-star show, so like everyone there was just crushing it. Yeah, I got to meet a lot of my favorite tattoo artists, and network with a lot of guys that weren't working at the show, which was awesome. Big cool. Shout out to John Clue, who showed up, who I didn't know was going to be there. And if you guys don't know who John Clue is, you need to go find out. John Clue was there and he's like, "Oh man, I love your leg. Who did it?" And I'm like, "Oh, guy, you know." He's like, "Oh man, I thought I was going to be the only one here with a guy tattoo." And I'm like, "Well, you're not alone. Sorry, I guess." And we just kind of hit it off. It was great. But I got to meet with John Clue and talk with him. Clint Danroth and I had a couple of really great conversations. Same thing with Damian Robertson. And these guys are like pretty top notch in the field up in Canada. The 3-day collaboration with Steve Moore and James Tex was on a whole nother planet of
Oof, you
just
said
skill level.
3 days, 3-day total?
It
Like
was a
back to back?
3-day collaboration. They covered both
Oh.
thighs in full color.
Oh,
And
man.
they are gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous.
It's awesome.
They did like 2 genies or wizards or magic people with like glowing orbs in the middle of it. In fact, I wonder if I have the ability.
Make sure you know
So
what you're
I'm
sharing
gonna,
before you share it.
yeah, I'm gonna go through and share. Photo, no, not that way. Let's see if I can do. You know what? Let me pull that up real quick. This way I know exactly what I'm. Not that I have anything inappropriate on here, but.
Hey, Ricardo, do you mind switching it into gallery mode if you can?
No, not at all. Hang on one second. I think I need to do that on my phone.
Okay, so let's
Let's see
do.
here. Where's that setting at? Do you mind?
Nope. That would be in the top where you can choose your view.
Okay.
And then you choose gallery rather than speaker.
Looks like I'm having an issue with it since it's on my phone.
It's all right. I got you.
Okay, sorry about that.
So I do have it pulled up. I'm just going to go through and share. I'll share my screen real quick. So I go. So this was the 3-day collaborative tattoo that was done with James Tex and Steve Moore.
Yeah.
And this was all done start to finish over 3 days with both artists working on each one. And you can see I'm trying to really like get both of them in the video. Just looking at their color palettes. They did say that they did eventually want to go back through and throw a little bit of background to it. But I mean, just looking at their color palettes that they're using, those blue to like muted teals, and then muted teal to like that weird bright yellow. Absolutely incredible stuff. I've got plenty of other stuff. Here's Legendary Fibs drawing a whole sleeve on.
Killer.
And just looking at the flow that he started to get with this and watching him rough it out bit by bit was incredible.
Very organic looking. And I love the way it complements the whole body. Oh, yeah. He's turning that chrysanthemum into some pretty cool.
Yeah, he's very heavily influenced by Marcus Lenhard and his flow. You know, he loves all that stuff. So yeah, got a little bit of a VIP access to like actually get in like right behind him and film him while he was doing this.
Radical. Very cool, man. Where was this at again?
This was up in Calgary.
Okay.
At
how was
the
the trip
Grey
up there?
Eagle Hotel. Very easy.
Yeah.
Very, very easy. I don't think I got any pictures of what won best of day on here. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that,
Yeah,
man.
but here's Damian Robertson rocking on the back of some guy's head. He usually only works large scale, but and then Phibbs working on the sleeve.
You know, I would say, even though he works large scale primarily, I would think that with that kind of real estate, that would definitely be considered large scale. You know what I mean? That's like billboard advertising right there.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was an absolutely incredible time. Just getting to sit down and talk with some of these guys about how they do what they do, where they drive their inspiration, how they got started. I mean, it was absolutely phenomenal. Very inspiring to be there. And just being able to sit back and watch these guys work and just looking at their methodology. Are they working to completion, you know, working up a whole design? Or are they working in sections? Are they working, you know, starting in the more traditional manner, which is line work, then black, then shading, then color? Or are they literally just going for it, doing the outline, and then boom, just filling everything in as they move up the design?
Right.
You know, and there were a lot of people working with different methods. You saw a lot of people working with different machines, or talking about different types of pigments. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. Christina Christie was there, someone I'm very heavily influenced by, working alongside her friend Anne Marie Tattoos, if you're on Instagram, both of which were just crushing it left and right, with like everything that they were doing.
Dude, the Anne Marie, her tattoos are phenomenal.
Oh, you should see them in person, dude. They're gorgeous. Photos do not do them justice.
I bet.
I highly recommend. And so both Christina and Anne Marie are absolute sweethearts. They're two of the nicest human beings I think I've ever met. Absolute, you know, 100% just genuinely good people. And we all know that those are pretty hard to find these days. But they're professional tattooers. That's what they do. It's not like, you know, just because they're nice, they're, you know, oh yeah, sit down, you know, we'll hook you up. No, this is how we make our money. So, but it's weird because they were also two of the most humble people that I met there. Like they didn't really know how to take compliments in a way. Because they're not used to having people go full fanboy on them. And that's exactly what I did. So
was there something that you said, or a way that you didn't say
it? Don't even know, to be honest with you. I just went fanboy. You know, the whole like running around, oh my God.
I'm sure they love that, Jason.
Holy shit, you're Anne Marie. I've been following you for ages. Like, I love your work. And she's like, thanks. She's like, it's okay. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, your posts have been sent back and forth in group messages between me and my friends. Like, you've got killer work. And she's like, I appreciate that. Thank you. She's like, you know, I still have more that I need to learn and more that I need to do. And I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. But like, your stuff's awesome.
It's really cool. You guys get a chance, check it out.
Yeah, her work is fantastic. Her use of perspective, much like a lot of other very strong Canadian artists, you'll see a very heavy use of perspective in their work and foreshortening, to really exaggerate depth and dimension. And it's something that those guys have absolutely mastered.
They really have, man. I've been, it's pretty cool that like it's so crazy because you see a lot of like graffiti kind of influence on a lot of that stuff too.
You do.
Yeah,
absolutely. But it's weird because every artist I talk to up there mentions going back to the same basic origin source for a lot of their skills and a lot of their inspiration. And that was John the Dutchman.
I don't think I've heard his name.
Most Americans have not, but he was like he's like the Canadian Ed Hardy.
Okay.
Okay, so you can see his influence in everything, in everyone in Canada that's on that kind of a level. They
Mhm.
all give credit and homage to John the Dutchman.
Nice, dude.
He was over working with the Luz before, Ed Hardy went over. He was over working. Yeah. Like he was around. He went and sought the information that could really put him on another level.
Yeah. Very cool.
But I'm actually, go ahead.
The flight and everything like that was pretty awesome. I mean, that was pretty easy.
The flight
like
was
customs
easy.
And
There was customs
and
was a
everything.
breeze. Passport check was a breeze. Like no hassle, no fuss, straight on through. Yeah, that was the easiest part of the whole trip. Well, that and hotel check-in was great. Trying to find somewhere to get currency converted, that was a bit more difficult. But it is what it is.
I hate that. I hate dealing with like currency conversions. It's like math. No, here's some money. Just take my money.
So in the Montreal airport, I went up to the currency conversion place, and I was like, "Can I have this, but in Canadian?" And they were like, "Yeah, hold on." I was like, "What's today's rate?" And they were like, "Today it's one." I think they said it was like 120 or something like that, or 112. I forget what exactly, but I love those currency places because it's just like, I need this, but for this country. And they'll go through and they'll pull up the rates and they'll give you whatever currency you need. Minus a commission, of course. But.
Yeah, well, that happens, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it was a great venue. Once again, big shout out to the Grey Eagle Hotel and Casino in Calgary, Canada. Absolutely fantastic venue. Go play their slot machines. There's a pretty good chance you're going to win money like I did. Just it was a great time. Great time hanging out with great people, hanging out with, some of the people that have really influenced me as much as I can, to the point that I want to go back out there, as soon as I have the money saved up, not just because I need to get my tattoo finished, but because, I really, really enjoyed being out in that area. Everyone was pleasant and nice and had great manners. It was just a good time. But I do hate to cut this short, but I do have an appointment coming in about 30 minutes. So I'm not going to be able to be on for a whole lot longer.
Okay. Hey, real quick, we do have a question from the audience. They're asking about masks on the plane.
Yes. So they do still recommend that on international flights, you do wear your mask on the plane.
So just mostly international.
While you're in the airport. I believe if you're domestic, you don't have to worry about it. But for international flights, they're still recommending masks on planes.
Gotcha.
Which isn't really that big of a deal. I mean, if you're one of those people that, doesn't want to wear a mask because they just don't like wearing masks, that's fine. But to me, it wasn't a huge inconvenience.
Yeah. That's cool, man. I'm glad that you had a good time. Welcome back to the States, dude. And flying with a tattoo must have not been the most comfortable thing in the world.
It wasn't. But it's like any other tattoo. It's not going to be fun while you get it done, but it's worth it in the end.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little while ago. So cool, man. Thanks for sharing, dude.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to hop off, guys, because I got to finish getting set up. But thanks very much for having me on. And I will catch up with you guys this coming weekend.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Look forward to it. Take it easy.
All right. Take care, guys.
Yeah. Josh, you still there, bud?
Yes, sir. Still here.
Cool, man. What you working on today?
Right now I'm working through another one of the Society of Visual Storytelling exercises, trying to get through this one so I can move on to Painting the Head from Marco Bucci.
Oh yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about Marco Bucci.
It looks like you're working on an Asaro head almost.
You know what? I was just asking the audience, what's the process with the grid? Asaro head, yeah, for those of you guys don't know, this artist developed, is he a sculptor or was he a painter?
That's a great question. I'm not 100% sure, but the Asaro head itself is a sculpture with all of the major planes of the face.
It's really resourceful. Super resourceful. I haven't had a chance to buy one yet. I know there's a lot of like little knockoffs and stuff like that you can buy, you know what I mean, but they're very small. You know, I'd like a full size one, I think.
Pro hack here. If you go to sketchfab.com, they have 3D models of pretty much anything you could ever imagine, including Asaro head, so that you can just have an Asaro head on your computer for free.
Sketchfab.com.
Yep.
And that's FAB, right?
Yep.
Cool.
All right. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm glad you brought it up because it's actually a really resourceful tool for everybody. You know what I mean? That's what we're here for, is like, you know, pick things up from each other. So thank you for sharing that. And I will say that part of the way that I draw is like, I always try, especially when it comes to reference material. You know, when I'm doing a tattoo, I like to, before Procreate, I used to have 2 of the same reference images, and I would put one really far away from my station in black and gray, and then I would have the detailed one right, you know, a little bit closer to the tattoo itself when I'm looking for those focal points, right? The further away the image was, the more blurry it became. I was able to focus on the major shapes in relation to the highlighted areas, so I could kind of, you know, maintain that balance between dark and light, you know what I mean, and like the overall composition and the overall feel of the image and stuff like that. Like, you know, you might be able to nail the value levels, but if the composition, if all those shades aren't put in the right place, you really lose the feel of the whole piece, the whole lighting scheme. You know what I mean? So like, it hits the object in a certain way because of the shape of it, and we're trying to mimic that echo. We're trying to echo that in our reproduction of it. But the Asaro head is awesome because it's got those major planes in the face. They're very, very visible. They're very legible. You know, they're very intent, you know what I mean, on creating those angles. And that's actually what it is that we're looking for whenever we do squint our eyes at images, or those simple shapes. And it's really easy for us as artists, as illustrators, to draw those straight lines, right? For me, the grid that I'm working on right now, to answer Nania's question, we'll go back to this drawing again of the sleeve. Everything that I draw is based off of this pattern. It's all based off of the geometric tree of life. I find it in faces, I find it in trees, I find it in nature. It's in nature. It's you know, it's very, you can find the golden ratio inside of it. You know what I mean? And that's one of the major tools as far as composition for images, especially with photography. You're starting to see it implemented more and more. The more art is involved and influenced into tattooing, the more we're able to find that composition, that rule of composition inside of images that we're seeing on the body. It's a very organic form. We found it in nature to begin with. The Greeks, I think, right? That and like, what is it? The Adonis ratio or something like that. But so what I'm doing here with the face is I'm trying to implement that. I'm trying to show, you know, what we're used to seeing with a face and a head is the oval shape. And then we break it into thirds, right? For the eyes or the brow, the bottom of the nose, and then the mouth. Well, for me, the first thing that I see is a line of symmetry. And then whenever you go into the eyes, I see a third line cutting all the way across down. And then if you go from the center pupil area, like an X, that's where you're going to find the triangle for the nose. It's all intersecting angles, corners of the mouth. I don't know how well you can see that. Let me see if I can bring it a little bit closer. So that's kind of what I'm going for. Everything is based off of that geometric tree of life. You can pull it up on Google and just get like what is it? Like a vector drawing of it if you want to, and just screenshot it or something like that and put it as an underlying layer in some of your images that you're trying to create. But anytime I draw anything, I'm always conscientious of this formula, conscientious of these shapes. Everything interesting is on intersecting angles. Anything that we see of interest normally is in some form of triangle shape. And it just so happens that the proportions of our face line up with this method. And I do try to keep things very angular at first, very loose. It's another reason that I like drawing with charcoals and paintbrushes. This is newspaper medium, and it keeps it loose enough to where it's still just very much a shape for me. There's a lot of room to move. There's a lot of room to be able to add value and stuff like that as you're trying to build the construction or the forms and in their relationship to each other, and the way that they balance each other out and the way that they help each other make the image that we're trying to achieve. I think it's super important for us to be able to recognize dark and light together and the way that they effectively make the image, that illusion, come real. Especially for us as storytellers, it's important for us to understand how to create that story. I love this medium. It's dirty and you get charcoal powder everywhere, but I wouldn't change it for anything. Right now, what I'm doing is focusing on the light source, up here, and just how it's going to affect these ovals and these squares and these triangles, and make them conal, or make them into a cone or a pyramid or a sphere. And I'm a big fan of dynamic lighting too. So I always try to implement that as much as I can. Now, if I wanted to, I can go in and start really shaping out this whole thing with this brush, but just for time's sake and everything like that, I'm going to show you guys how I can go in and start to line some of this stuff out now. So let's see if I can do this with the pencil and holding my phone at the same time. Okay, so don't judge me too much. Don't judge me too harshly. But I'm going back in with my charcoal pencil, and I'm gonna start making some of the edges a little bit more readable, a little bit more definitive. Oh, see, I started to disappear the picture. Sorry about that, guys. Still focusing on these sharp angles because I can go back in with my brush and I can knock it all down again. And I'm not focused on any form of real line work. All I'm doing is trying to focus on the idea, the implementation of edges, and how the light is going to affect some of the sharper edges versus some of the more muted or less light areas are going to be softer edged. Less lit, right? Less lighted. I'm not using any reference right now either. I'm just kind of drawing. And I think it tends to be, whenever I do this, the faces seem somewhat familiar, but they're still kind of foreign. So I don't know if it's a subconscious thing kind of coming through or what. But I think that has a lot to do with it. And I think that's why I like to just draw these and just kind of see how it forms. Take a step back, so you can start to see how this eye is starting to come out a little bit more. You saw it up close. You saw how simple that was, how gestural all these shapes are. But from a distance, you can start to see the relative idea. And that's just implementing what we're trying to get the viewer to read. And it's very suggestive. So that's another reason that I love these charcoals and stuff like that too. And implementing it into my drawing, the way that I draw for tattoos, the way that I draw for my paintings, my personal interests, because it allows the viewer to read it in the way that they see fit. I like it gestural. There's a romantic kind of sense to me when in this capacity of drawing. So, but yes, I love the grid pattern to a certain point, but I like to implement those angles of that geometric tree of life into much more than just the traditional kind of faces that we've been taught to build. Those are very effective. Very effective. But it still seems so rigid to me. Josh, I know for a little while you were doing some more drawings with that system that you were being a part of, like writing down all the some of the techniques to implement into some of your drawings and stuff like that. How's that going for you?
Really well, actually. So I've found that the more time I invest up front, the less I have to redesign later. So it like just having a good plan from the beginning saves so much time in the end. Like even for smaller pieces, I'd rarely ever thumbnail anything. But if I sit there and I'm like, all right, well, what are 10 tiny iterations of this that I could try out? Even small pieces end up having a better design at that point.
That's really cool to hear, man. Like it's almost like it's you're developing a sense of your own style and stuff like that way, in that way too. Like as far as let's talk about implementing that into like a consultation process with your client, right? They're throwing 30 different ideas at you. You know what I mean? You're trying to narrow it down for them and stuff like that, and you're trying to listen to what they're saying. I think one of the cool parts for me hearing you say that is that like I'm already thinking like when you're sitting down with a client, you're visualizing the image almost to completion right away, or like as far as the composition anyway too. You know what I mean? Are you finding that that's happening with you now, like using this process?
Very much so. Now, clients don't really understand what a thumbnail is, and they're like, "Well, that doesn't look like a tattoo." But, well, I'm not going to draw the tattoo on the spot. Sorry.
Yeah.
This is I'm showing you the basic shapes for the composition. Now, if you're throwing everything at me, 30 things in the kitchen sink, and I try to draw a little representation of all of that on your arm, you can see how cluttered it is, even in the thumbnail. So the process actually helps me get my clients to prioritize things too, which has been incredibly helpful for the design process. So if you show someone a thumbnail, something this big, that's shaped about like the body part that they're wanting their tattoo on, and you show them, it's like, all right, well, if I can't fit 30 shapes on something this size, it's not going to look good if I cram it into your arm. Anyway.
Yep. That is a good way to like show them the importance of scale and the amount of subject matter and stuff like that too. I agree with you. You know what I mean? The only other way that I've done it I think I might start implementing that, because the only way that I've really done it is like by pulling a quarter out or something out of my pocket and being like, okay, you see this? And like you hold it up close, so you can read all the lettering and everything like that. You know what I mean? And then I'll put it on my arm and hold it up, and like you can still read it, but then I'll walk further and further away and be like, okay, so what does it look like now? They're like, it looks like a circle. I'm like, exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? So it's all of our minds work on so many different levels, but they're trying to achieve the same end goal, right? And we're all trying to understand, we're all trying to walk through this journey together in a certain sense, but we all have these very different realities because of the way that our brains naturally and have up to this point been trained to react and try to interpret and things like that, right? So like that's awesome that you're finding different ways that work for you to be able to convey the message that people that come in that don't draw, that don't understand illustration, that have never been trained or taught or taken the effort to learn like why a circle can look like a sphere on paper, right? You know what I mean? So like, you know, and that's so awesome to hear that you say that, you know what I mean? So that's great, dude. Thanks for sharing
Well,
that.
another thing that's helped with the consultation process lately is really setting myself up as an authority. So I've always explained to someone whenever they really try to take the reins of the design process, I'm like, would you tell your plumber how to fix your sink?
Mhm.
Well, no. All right. Well, then please trust me on this. I have been trained to handle situations like this, but that's trying to address the issue after the fact. I found that if I pre-frame even the consult process, I get so much less resistance. So before I would always be like, all right, let's schedule you a consult so that we can toss some ideas back and forth and come up with a good plan together. So that set us up as equals in the process. That wasn't authoritative at all. On the other hand, if I'm like, all right, let's get you scheduled for a consult so I can help you come up with your next great idea. So it positions me as someone who is helping you do a thing. That it's really subtle, but people come in understanding that they don't know what's best when it comes to art and tattoos. That's why we have the consult, so I can help them. That one tiny little shift has been like, people come in and they're like, so how can you help me do this? I'm like, well, here's how I'm going to help you do this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that demonstrates so many different things. You know what I mean? It demonstrates, first of all, like the intent that you have behind it is awesome, because that energy is coming across. You know what I mean? They pick up on it, dude, and you're picking up on it too. So that's rad, man. You know what I mean? And like you're seeing the dynamic like change and stuff like that too, and how much easier it is. It's like when I first started doing a lot of training and stuff like that, some of my old coaches, like, first of all, being sedentary and as a tattoo artist, we're going to be sitting like this, right? All the time. Yeah. So our body is going to start gravitating towards the front of us naturally all the time, because that's all we do. So when I would go to these coaches and stuff like that, when I was working out, when I first started working out, like, I don't know how many years ago, but we had to open me up. That was the first thing that we did, right? We opened everything up so I could just move the proper way. It took a little while, man. It was painful. But the coolest part about one of the coaches that I had was they told me, you're getting into this thing. You're starting to like lifting weights and stuff like that. So you're going to try to do more than you should. Like, you have to work smarter, not harder. You know what I mean? And that's the first time that I'd ever heard that term. And that's exactly what it is you're doing. Like, you're taking this moment that can cause some anxiety for the both of you. You know, you're trying to convey a message. They're not understanding. It's frustrating. It can be frustrating sometimes, right? So like, it's cool that you're changing up the tempo and stuff like that, because that is like what you said. Sometimes it's all it takes, is that little bit of attention. And it's awesome too to hear you say that you're being a little bit more authoritative about it, like a little bit more assertive maybe too. You know what I mean? Like, just like saying, yes, I get what the moment you can tell somebody back to them what they've said to you in your own way, they feel heard and they feel like, okay, this guy gets me. And that automatically just creates that much less tension between the two of you too. I mean, there's so many things that take in it that we take for granted. You know what I mean? Like, we're in a tattoo shop all day, every day, most of the time. And these people are coming in off the street, and the reason they're bringing you Pinterest images and the reason they're bringing you other tattoos is because they have no idea how to convey of what it is that they're trying to get tattooed on them. They've seen black and gray, so they bring you black and gray tattoos. You know what I mean? They see clipper ships and stuff like that, so they bring you these big back pieces, and they want them like on their forearm with the names of their kids in each sale and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And like, it's totally cool, man. Like, to each their own, you know what I mean? But it is awesome to be able to understand that. And sometimes it is being able to see it from the other side too. So that's radical, Josh, man. That's cool to hear that. I'm glad that's working out for you.
Well, beyond just having that position of slight authority, if you approach it that way, the way you framed it, so if they come in to get your help, if you approach it, every consult is, I'm not trying to sell this person a tattoo, I'm trying to help this person get the right tattoo.
Right.
That it completely eliminates the need to try to sell anything, because you are setting yourself up as an authority, but that position of authority means you have to have your client's best interest at heart, not yours.
Yep.
And if you do that, you get the authority and you get their respect, because you're trying to help them. You are trying to help them. You're not just saying you're trying to help them. You are.
See, that's cool, man, because you're right. Like, so when I go to another state or something like that, and it's not tattoo related, like if I'm going on a personal vacation, I tend to stay away from tattoo shops, because I need a break. You know what I mean? First and foremost. But there are some times that I will go into a tattoo shop every once in a while, and it's really disheartening. It really kind of like bums me out a little bit whenever you go in and you walk in and people treat you like you shouldn't even be there. You know what I mean? That's one of the worst things that you can do, in my opinion, as far as creating that relationship between you and your business and you and your goals. You know what I mean? At that point in time, you kind of have to start asking yourself what this is about for you, you know, and start taking some ownership over your actions and things like that too. And so one of the things that I like to do when clients come in is face them straightforward. You know what I mean? I see a lot of people, body language does a lot for people. You know what I mean? Just sets the tempo. There's, like you said, dude, there's so many things that you can do that are just unspoken. And one of them is definitely meeting a person, looking them in the eyes and just saying hello. You know what I mean? It's that simple, guys. I promise you. I've been into a lot of shops that don't even look at you when they're talking to you, man. They're just kind of like, yeah, what do you want? You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, what are we doing today? And you're like, dude, I don't even want to be here, man. Like, do I smell or something? Or did I say something offensive? You know what I mean? Like, the sign says open. I mean, I can leave if you want me to leave, you know? But yeah, body language is a big one, man. Like, just say hello to people. And like you said, dude, it is important to take people's ideas. And the moment that I think for me that works out really well is when I do step in, it's at the appropriate time. That's that time when I go, okay, I know you have all these ideas. However, this many ideas in this small of a space isn't really going to work. If you want to go larger, then we can start implementing more of that subject matter. You know what I mean? But for now, if you're going to just give me a space of a softball, then we need to start talking about condensing some of these images. You know, those are those moments that you do take control, or not control, but you do lead the path, you do lead the conversation and things like that. And it is important to understand those for sure, man. I agree with you completely. It's radical. Sweet. So have you been working on any fun projects or anything lately?
Past few weeks I've been sick with my kids.
Okay. I must have missed you saying that. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, that's the first time I mentioned it, I think. But
okay,
that's why I missed last week's meeting. I'm also finding that statistically, if you have 3 kids, one of them is almost always going to be sick.
Dude, that's awesome. Go figure, huh?
yeah. And then that one gets another one sick, and then the other one gets you sick, and then you get it's a thing that I'm dealing with lately.
Then all of a sudden zombies are taking over the world and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Go ahead.
But I've got a full thigh piece coming in that I started about 6 weeks ago, coming back in tomorrow. My Jesus portrait, I'm finishing up on Friday. The one with the mandala, Art Nouveau mandala behind him.
Yeah, that piece was super strong, dude. I can't wait to see it.
I would show you the progress, but I'd have to dig it out. I'm super pumped on that one.
Isn't it cool, man? How awesome is it? Like, dude, so many moments in my day where I go, man, I can't imagine my life any other way right now. You know what I mean? Like there can be a lot of things going on personally in my life and stuff like that. But whenever I get those moments where I'm sharing that with the client and they love it, and I see them walk up to the, the mirror and they're like, yes. And you're like, yeah, dude, I love this thing. Like so radical, so radical to be able to like be in that moment with those people. And that's ultimately what it is, like you're sharing time and space with this person and they're investing some of their body to you, you know what I mean? And they're paying for it. And you are forever linked to that person in that capacity. You know what I mean? So it's pretty awesome, dude.
I keep trying to communicate to my team because as tattooers, we're exposed to this every day. This is our job. We go in, we tattoo people, we go home. So for us, it's just another day at work. But for every single person that comes in, every single time they come in, it is literally a life-changing experience because they're not walking out the same way they walked in.
Yep.
And it's easy to get jaded to that when you're doing it every day to other people. But yeah, it's just something fun to remember.
Yeah, man, it's important to remember. You know what I mean? It definitely is, because that's the issue. I think that's the number one issue, is that we become desensitized. You know what I mean? We become desensitized because it's an everyday action for us. So like it becomes commonplace, man. You know what I mean? Like I also think it's good for us as tattoo artists to mingle outside of work with other people rather than tattoo artists as well. You know what I mean? Like people outside of our industry entirely. It's good to be able to put ourselves in that kind of scenario that those people are putting themselves in. You know what I mean? I think that we learn more about ourselves by dunking ourselves, like, for lack of a better word, just literally throwing ourselves into something that's uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Because like, think about it, what you just said, like those people are coming in, it's an uncomfortable scenario. Like, what do I do? What do I say? This is the tattoo that I want. And I can't tell you how many times people were like, man, I was so nervous about like crossing some kind of like no limit kind of thing with you. You know what I mean? Like saying the wrong thing or asking the wrong question and stuff like that, dude. It's like, well, that sucks. You know what I mean? Like, I think we all experience that in some way or another, but no, dude, just ask any question you want to, like, I think we just learn, like what I'm trying to get at is I think we learn what that discomfort can feel like. So it's easier for us to be able to put another person in that way, in that capacity of us feeling that emotion, like understanding where they're coming from whenever they say these things to us, instead of us just being like, yeah, dude, everybody asks me that all the time. It doesn't fucking matter, and just brush it off. You know what I mean? So like, it's important, dude. It's important to do that. So yeah, that's cool that you talk to your team about that, man, because it's a big one. You know what I mean? People come in, they want to, the larger pieces, dude. One guy that I work with has been doing a lot of Japanese work for a little while, quite a while. I think I'm going to try to have him on next week so we can talk to him and stuff like that, and have an open Zoom. So if anybody has any questions and stuff like that, we can talk to him about it too. But it'll be fun. He's a really good friend of mine. I've known him since 2001. And I've been doing this a lot more lately as well. But people come in with nothing on their arm at all, and they leave with the outline of a sleeve. You know what I mean? Like, for me, I'm just like, oh yeah, I started another sleeve today. Cool, man. That's fucking awesome. But for that person, dude, they are physically entirely changed. Like their whole arm is outlined. You know what I mean? You're like, yeah, first of all, thank you so much for allowing me to do that. And then secondly, dude, that's awesome, man. Like that's a big change, So it's cool. We got to respect it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's something I'd say to every client when they get up out of my chair. Thanks for trusting me with this one.
Yep.
Because it takes a lot of trust to pay someone to mark your body.
Yep. There's also an energy that comes across with it too, man. You know what I mean? There's an energy that person will carry with them forever. You know what I mean? Like when they look at that tattoo, like, oh, this dude it's a really great tattoo, but she's kind of a dick. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like that would suck, dude. Like, like, oh, this tattoo, man, I love it. I love the experience. You know what I mean? You talk to me like a person. We're all just people, dude. It doesn't matter. Like, man, I've heard, we've talked about this in the classes with Guy and stuff like that before too. You know what I mean? He's had a lot of clientele around the world come to him with, like, some of them are collectors, you know what I mean? Surprise, surprise, right? But like, they share that same experience with him. You know what I mean? They're like, I love the tattoo, but the overall process was pretty uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things. It's like getting tattooed when you're a tattoo artist. It sucks. it doesn't feel very good. You know what I mean? It's not a whole lot of fun all the time. Sometimes it's super easy, it's cake, you know what I mean? But other times it's grueling, you know what I mean? And we have to put ourselves in those uncomfortable situations sometimes, man. So yeah, that's right. But I hope that the kids start to feel better. And yes, you're right. They are so incredibly susceptible to all kinds of fun stuff that they bring home to you. And you're like, I thought I was over this, man. How did I get chickenpox twice? No, I'm just playing.
Oh, don't even go there right now, man.
Yeah.
We got a freak cold virus. It wasn't COVID. It wasn't the flu. It wasn't strep. It was just a virus. And then I got over it. And apparently, like 2 days after I got over it, I got a secondary bacterial infection in the sinuses because of the viral infection. I was like, that happens? What's happened? What?
Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah, everyone's good now.
Good. I'm glad to hear that, man. You know, there was what was it? I think it's on Netflix. There's a documentary, and they were talking about kids and the reason we get sick and stuff like that. You know, our autoimmune system builds up tolerances and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's a natural function of our body. And they had a set of twins down in Texas. One of the twins, they both grew up on a farm. One of the twins is very much hands-on with all the animals. They've always been interested in participating in all the daily functions of a farm life. It's dirty, you know, it's grueling. It's like it's sweaty work, you know what I mean? And the horses and pigs and like cows and stuff like that, you know, and like the other one, not so much at all. Like to be inside from very early age, goes to the mall, you know, does shopping and stuff like that. The other one's very much just get some dirt on me, I'm okay with it. They're both very different people. However, the one that was outside all the time, playing around in the dirt, getting sick and stuff like that, has become less susceptible to being sick throughout, you know, the year on an average, as far as the amount of times that she gets sick. She's more likely to be less sick in a 2-year span or 3-year span than her sister is, which she gets a cold every few months. You know what I mean? So yeah. It's interesting to think about that. You know what I mean? Like when it does suck, but you're still like, good job, guys. You're helping me stay healthy too.
Well, what's crazy to me though is I got sick maybe once every 5 years. It was ridiculous. Until I got COVID back in January.
Wow.
And since I got COVID, I've been sick 3 more times in the past 6 months.
Wow, dude.
I don't understand what happened there.
I don't know either. That's one of those new territories I think that we're gonna have to start venturing down together. You know what I mean? So maybe change up some more vitamins or something that you're taking in or something.
I'll give you a shot. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I am no doctor.
Yeah, nor do I play one on TV.
Yeah, exactly. You got it. Oh man, I used to love Scrubs, dude. Did you ever watch Scrubs?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a good show. For all of you guys who are watching, I hope you watch it. If not, do some research because we'll be talking about it from time to time.
And House was one of my favorites.
The House was pretty good. I only caught a few seasons of that, but it was fun. You know what I mean? I went through a period where I wasn't watching TV and stuff like that for a little while. So like I did watch it before I stopped, and I haven't really picked it up since then. There's been a whole lot of Star Wars coming out since then. You know what I mean?
Oh, all right. So I really don't watch a whole lot of television. My wife and I watch an episode every couple of days of something. Arcane on Netflix. Oh, that is the most beautiful television I've ever seen in my life. You can pause almost any frame of the show and it looks like just a masterpiece painting.
Wow. All right. Arcane.
Arcane.
Okay.
It's gorgeous, dude. Gorgeous.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna take you up on that because my client this morning, he's in cement. They run a cement business, and you know it's very like touch and go as far as the weather and stuff like that goes, and they're behind. So today he had to kind of reschedule. So I have a window open today, so I think I'm gonna check that out, dude. I'll check it out.
It's addicting. There's one season of it on Netflix so far. It is gorgeous.
All right, cool.
Just look up some of the promo art for it. You'll be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. You know, I think we talked about this last time, like Pacific Rim and Hellboy and things like that. What director is that? Guillermo del Toro. Guillermo del Toro. I think that's who it is. If you haven't seen those, give it a go, because it's the same kind of thing, man. Like every scene is like a painting. You know what I mean? Like the color schemes, the way he balances out the composition as far as like the actors on the set and stuff like that too. You know what I mean? It's great, dude. Give it a go, man. Very, very awesome stuff. Very influential on some of the color patterns and stuff and color palettes that I choose sometimes too. So
Okay.
it's pretty rad. The way his use, like the way he uses his muted tones and stuff like that, with those really intense colds or really intense warms and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's pretty awesome, dude. It makes them that much more. And then like, you know, the contrast of black, stark darkness to those colors and stuff like that, dude. It's radical. I think you might dig it. So,
I'll definitely
but
check it
cool. Josh, on that note, man, why don't we let everybody know where you're hailing in again from? And I'm gonna hop off here pretty soon. So
out. Josh Johnson, hailing in from Moorhead, Kentucky. I own and tattoo from Affinity Art Co. Yeah, me and a team of lovely ladies are doing our best to create family-friendly tattoo environments. Yeah,
radical, man. It's good to hear. It's really rad to hear. You know, the tattoo industry used to be just a party central area, man. So that's cool that you guys are getting some business done, man. That's awesome. So, but as always, guys, thank you for joining us for another morning of Tuesday Feels. Thank you for all the chats and stuff like that in the YouTube. Thank you for watching. And feel free to catch us next week. I'll be posting some stuff about the my coworker that I'll have for interview. I've already talked to him. I'm gonna really nail him down this time and get him on the camera. It's been like 2 or 3 times it's supposed to be on, but this is gonna happen next week. So I hope you guys tune in. Very resourceful person, awesome background. His knowledge of Japanese folklore and stuff like that is pretty extensive and everything like that. He's very invested in his craft. So it'll be exciting to talk to him. But I hope all you guys have a good day, man. Take it easy. Peace.